Yeah, I was trying to find what because I think I saw that you had responded to this person, and so then I
Oh
was
yeah,
responding
yeah.
to them, but it was basically about the real estate um, guy who was basically what was he saying? Don't buy real estate because
It,
he was saying that all the people who had invested in real
anything.
estate were going to lose all their bags because they should have invested in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he's this Bitcoin Maxi was saying that if you're invested in anything besides Bitcoin, everything's going to be inflated away. Which and he named a few things. I think he named stocks and then he named real estate. And so I sarcastically replied saying, oh yeah, they just printed a few more square miles near me, and now it takes me 10 minutes longer to get to the grocery store. Like
Yeah,
real estate is also a scarce asset. Like, I
right.
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the government tried to, through some other means, like take everyone's real estate, jack
Yeah,
up taxes, or do things like that so that I actually lose my real estate. But like, if I own my house, like, I still have a house. I
yeah.
still have a place to live, right? And really stocks as well. Like I think like it's weird to say, right? But if we went through hyperinflation tomorrow, like or whatever, in the next month, like I bet, and don't quote me on this. I'm not going to have $1 million biology bet, but I bet that if you held like McDonald's stock, like they would be able to, like, McDonald's will still sell hamburgers just for $1 million a burger, and then their stock's going to be worth I bet that would be a decent hedge for hyperinflation too, right? Why would
I don't think the stock market. I mean, historically, just looking at every time we've had like this kind of economic inflations, the stock market always crashes. So, and I don't have like the economic theory behind it, but it seems like that's always been the case that the stock market just totally
does
kills everything.
okay,
Could be wrong.
I could be wrong. I mean, so like I know the whatever 1929 or whatever,
Well, actually, that is
that
what it
was
is.
bank
No, but
runs, which was different, right? That wasn't hyperinflation, so
yeah, but if it's hyperinflation, the problem is people need cash. The cash becomes worthless, but they pull out of the banks because they need the cash. It's kind of the same thing for the stocks. You can't sell the stock, so they're getting out of the stocks because they need. It's the same. So when COVID hit, right, everybody needed cash. They lost their jobs. They
yeah,
pull their
yeah,
money out of Bitcoin. They pull their
I
money
get what
out
you're
of the
saying.
stock
Yeah,
market, and
yeah.
then everything. So that might be the theory there. I don't
It's
know,
fair, but then I mean,
but you don't
Bitcoin
pull your
went
money out of
down.
real estate because
Bitcoin,
yeah,
but Bitcoin, all the stocks in Bitcoin went down right at the beginning because people needed money. But then, as soon as there was that injection of cash, that everyone got their $1,000,
sure,
everything went up really high, right? I mean, 2021 was a huge
yeah,
bull run. I
yeah.
don't know, and maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but I don't know. I mean, I think
No, that
people will
makes
still
sense. I
be,
see what you're saying.
you know, I don't think maybe they won't be able to pace with hyperinflation, but I I guess I have a hard time seeing how a company that has good like rate of cash flow would like you know I don't know, somehow go under with
Mhm.
hyperinflation.
It's hard to say, but I mean,
Sure,
even just like looking at face value, the guy's claim about
sure,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
people investing in real estate, like what are we saying? Like, don't spend your Bitcoin or don't spend your money on real world assets. Just buy Bitcoin. Like, what are we buying Bitcoin for? So that we can use it as money to actually buy things that we need in the real world, like land and like I mean, that kind of just uh, highlights basically the issue with kind of this hyper Bitcoin maximalism kind of
Yeah,
argument
yeah.
in a way. And I actually related it back to I mean, Thomas Aquinas and his definition of like what usury is basically is like money should not be a commodity. It should be a unit of
Mhm.
exchange. When you start treating money itself as like something to be, you know, gained and held and traded as if it was something to in and of itself, like that's when you start running into all these issues
Mhm.
with usury and with other immoralities relating to money. I mean, that was his definition. I'm not saying that he had it 100% right, but
Yeah, yeah.
he made a logical argument, And that is kind of the problem I have with this hyper Bitcoin maximalism, where Bitcoin itself becomes a commodity, and it's like an end to, to itself. Well, no, it should be a unit of exchange. People should be buying and selling things with Bitcoin, and you do need land. You do need real world assets that are not Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
It's not. I mean, there's Bitcoin maximalism on Twitter, but also I'm in a like a local Bitcoin chat group.
yeah,
People who are near me regionally, and someone was chatting. A few people were chatting earlier today, and one guy was like, "Oh, I wonder how many people are in." What's the percentage of people who are in Bitcoin to like get more fiat versus the people who are in Bitcoin because they like believe ideologically in
yeah,
Bitcoin. And it's like I think everybody who is investing or who is buying Bitcoin is looking to either gain or retain their wealth. And so like in 20 years, like if the dollar disappears and we're using Bitcoin, then they're going to use Bitcoin to buy a house. If the dollar is still sticking around, they're going to exchange their Bitcoin for dollars and then, buy a house. It was kind of a weird statement. The more I've thought about it, it just seems like a weird statement because it's like
mhm,
everybody, you either think the dollar's going to collapse or you think the dollar's going to stick around but inflate at a super high rate so that
mhm,
you know, when you want to use it, you're going to either use it or exchange it for something that you do use.
yeah,
Um, the other Bitcoin maximalist take, which is funny, I know I mentioned it before, is just like there's this idea that if if the dollar collapsed, um, all of a sudden, if the whole fiat system collapsed, all of a sudden everybody would start accepting Bitcoin, and it's like they might not. Like why would they? If 5% of people own this thing, like the entire global population is not going to all of a sudden say like, okay, now I'm denominating these things in Bitcoin, and I have none of this, and so I'm looking to get any of this. I don't know. I mean, they're gonna, we're gonna go into a barter system with food or gold or something else that people recognize has value, right?
yeah,
My point in this is that they're like, you have to be, if you want Bitcoin to become the future, like you have to be pro adoption. You can't like be in the have fun stay poor camp or the what's the other good for you GFY, right? They say
oh yeah,
that all the time. They like you can't be in that camp because then it's like, okay, like you can't restrict yourself. Like if the dollar collapsed tomorrow, Bitcoin would not replace it because, well, one, there's not enough infrastructure for people to like use it as a currency, and then two,